Welcome to Streamline MEP Workflows with ID8 Software. My name is Richard Taylor with ID8 Software, and I'm also joined by my colleague, Naveen Nabil, who will be reviewing the question panel. So if you just joined, please find that question panel. You can type questions into the question panel, and Naveen will answer those as best as possible. If we don't have time to answer every question within the webinar, we will certainly get back to you because we have your email contacts. Again, real quickly, my name is Richard Taylor. I'm located up in Boston. Always feel free to connect with me on either email or LinkedIn. You can find me at Richard W. Taylor. You can find me on X at RW Taylor _Revit. My background is architecture. I have been working with ID8 Software for about 10 years. And before that, I worked at Autodesk for about 12 years. And then I was also one of the original employees at Revit Technology Corporation before Autodesk purchased Revit. So I've been working with Revit for quite a few years now. So who is ID8 Software? Well, you may have seen just last week, we made a big announcement, and ID8 Software was acquired by the Graytech Group. And so we're really excited about this. It increases our coverage really worldwide. So all of you that are existing customers, nothing's going to change. We're still going to be developing and creating the most fabulous Revit add-on solutions. So we are just now a division of the Graytech Group moving forward. So with that, you can find all of our educational videos and classes on id8software.com. We have excellent technical support. If you are an existing customer and you have any issues or questions, you can send an email to support@id8software.com. We are developing our solutions on the last few releases of Revit. We're currently in the process of updating to 2025. That will be in Q2. But right now, our solutions are available on Revit 2020 through 2024. A couple things that you might not be aware of. We have these new problem solution videos. I'm going to click on this here. And if you go to YouTube, you can go to our YouTube playlist, and we have this playlist for problem solution shorts. And so all the technical people here at ID8 Software have been creating like 1-minute videos basically about here's a problem and here's a short solution using ID8 Software. So these are real short attention span, but they're meant to be very much to the point videos. And so I'd ask that you review that. Also, we have this new 15 at 15 series training where every other week for 15 minutes, we do a short sort of training getting started with a particular ID8 software solution. And so we started that just a couple months ago. So you can see that there are a few here, but we're going to be doing this for the remainder of the year. Actually, the next one is scheduled for tomorrow, Friday. We're going to be doing ID8 spell check. So if you can see that on our website, and you can register for that particular session. So I wanted to point out those, just a couple things for that YouTube playlist, as well as the 15 at 15 series. And that is at 2:15 p.m. Eastern or 11:15 a.m. Pacific time for the USA. Okay, so if you're not familiar with ID8 Software, I just kind of wanted to give you a real quick overview. So we create 6 add-on solutions to Revit. And I like to put those into 2 large categories. One of the categories is Revit model productivity. And here are the applications that we develop that kind of fit into that particular category or area. And that is ID8 Apps. It's a collection of 10 productivity tools for all Revit users, including MEP or engineering. And so I'm going to be talking about several of those tools within the ID8 Apps collection today. Then also ID8 Sticky allows you to live link Excel, Word, and PDF documents into your Revit project and keep those up to date. So it's great for, I'm going to be showing some examples of some lighting fixture specifications and schedules that can be linked into an MEP model. And then the second area or category that our products are really focused on is all around data management, project auditing, model, and data health of the Revit model. So those products such as ID8 BIMLink allows you to extract information from the Revit model, send it to Excel, be able to make updates and changes, and then import that back into the Revit model. ID8 Explorer is our model browser. It's going to show you every single element of the model. We've got dynamic filters, and I've got some really nice examples to show you today on that. ID8 Style Manager is our solution allowing you to review all these things that we've called styles, but it's object styles, line styles, but it's also filters, view templates, parameters, things that in Revit, especially when you copy from one model to another, you can get duplicate styles or duplicate information. You can get things that aren't named correctly. And so this is going to help you really clean up the model and make sure that it's lean and that it's performing at a very high function. And then finally, ID8 Automation is our latest solution. It's our solution that runs on the desktop, allows you to schedule specific tasks. It might be an export to PDF or DWG or IFC or Navisworks. So there's a whole series of tasks that are available to be scheduled, and those can be then scheduled to run at 2 in the morning or 5 in the morning when your computer has some downtime. So we have a lot of information on our website about ID8 Automation, and I encourage you to review that. Okay, so today, what are we here for? Well, today we're going to be talking about Streamline MEP workflows with ID8 Software Solutions. So we're going to learn how to do quality control with ID8 BIMLink. We're going to efficiently manage MEP warnings with our ID8 Explorer. We're going to integrate Excel, Word, or PDF information or specifications with ID8 Sticky. We're going to gain a deeper understanding of Revit view filter usage with Style Manager. And we're going to streamline some renumbering and some intelligent tagging with our ID8 apps. Now, I wanted to just say that I could be actually talking for the next 4 to 6 hours on MEP workflows. So each one of these is going to be a very small snippet of information that you can do that you can, streamline a particular MEP workflow. But again, I would encourage you to review information on our website because we have so much more information with videos and webinars. And actually, I was looking in preparation for this presentation, we've done quite a few number of sort of extensive webinars. We have a whole webinar on Revit warnings in MEP. We have MEP workflows and QA/QC processes webinar. We have renumbering specifically with MEP as an entire webinar. So again, I just wanted to let everyone know that this is just sort of a very high level overview. Okay, so let's look at ID8 BIMLink. ID8 BIMLink is our solution allowing you to quickly export almost any parameter data from the Revit model, send it to Excel, and either use that for reviewing, or you can make changes in Excel and then import those changes back into the Revit model. We ship with hundreds of predefined, what we call link definitions, which are very similar to a Revit schedule. So in this case, you'll see that I've got some examples of the MEP links that are available. So you see that just overall general MEP links, but then electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and these get you started. So it's ships with every single version of ID8 BIMLink. You can go here and then you can basically sort of add parameters or subtract parameters as you see fit. And then of course you can share those link definitions across your other individuals within your firm or on your network. So quality control and quality assurance with ID8 BIMLink is a snap. Today I highlighted that because we're going to talk about device elevations, but you can also review work set assignments, COBie standards if you do have the COBie information, view naming of spaces. You can update that information very easily. You can review text styles, dimension, phasing, elements that are in groups. So like I said, this is really meant to be just sort of a quick overview. So let's take a look at this. Let's switch over to Revit. And I've got a couple different MEP files today that I'm using. This one happens to be one of the older ones from Autodesk. It's just the advanced sample MEP file. but I think it works pretty well for this situation. And I've also got this south elevation here that's got a number of electrical devices, right, at different elevations on this or on this particular section. So I go up to ID8 Software. I'm going to select ID8 BIMLink. When ID8 BIMLink is first started, you'll notice that there are no link definitions, and I specifically didn't have any saved within the model. If you do create link definitions, they will be saved within your Revit model, and other people will have access to them if they're using ID8 BIMLink. So when I select New, notice that it's giving me, here is the library, and here are MEP links, electrical links, mechanical, plumbing, and you can see, there's obviously structure and architecture links as well. But let's say I want to go to the electrical links, and I want to go to devices. And each one of these link definitions can either be an instance or a type link, meaning that it's either containing data that we might want to update on the instance parameter side or on the type parameter side of things. And of course, those can be combined into a single spreadsheet as well. So I'm going to just select this devices, select next, and it's going to then review and pull the information. And it actually says, okay, these are the categories for the devices. So we have, audiovisual all the way down to telephone devices. We can choose to uncheck or check individual categories if we like. I'm going to keep all of these. And then the properties is basically, these are the properties that I'm going to be sending out. And if, as an example, maybe I don't care for this particular link definition about Omni class number. So I'm going to remove that, just like you would remove it from a schedule. And so it's not now going to be appearing. And maybe offset from host. I can also remove that. So we just have, the Revit element ID, the family and type, level, and so forth. Now, what I can also do is, very powerful sorting and filtering. I can say, I want to filter where, for instance, the level name contains level 1. And I'll go ahead and select that. So now it's only going to give me elements on level 1. And you'll notice here that actually there's a partial preview, but I can do a full preview and show all the elements there that's going to be exported to Excel. So I can say done. Okay, now I have that link definition. So I just export. I can give it a name. The default name is devices. Say save. All right, and now I'm going to open up that file. So this is the actual Excel file, right? And all of these are now on level 1 because that's what I specified. And for quality assurance, quality control, I can see that, maybe all of these should have been at 1200 millimeters. So I'm going to enter the elevation from level, and I'm going to do a Control-C, and I'm going to copy this information down. All right, so I've updated that. Since these are on level 1, I'm going to start with the mark number to be 100 and then 101. So I'm kind of giving it a sort of a sequence. And then with Excel, I can just highlight those 2 cells and bring that down, and it's going to update all of the values. So I just made a couple changes, and with Excel, again, I'm just kind of touching the surface, but I can do formulas. I could add, let's say different columns together, especially when I'm doing like renaming. I might want to use different columns and append the information from one cell to another very easily. But for right now, I'm just going to hit save, close, and now I'm back in Revit. And now I'm going to do the reverse process where I'm going to import information from devices and select open. And so now you'll see that everything that's kind of updated in yellow has been changed, right? So the marked values, the actual survey point, which is the Z value, has been updated, and the elevation from level. So if I'm, the great thing about ID8 BIMLink is that it's giving you this information. It's not making any changes until you decide that, okay, everything's good. This show messages, I could notice how it says 0 errors. If something's locked by work sharing, or maybe it's a Revit read-only property, it's going to say that I can't change that. It doesn't stop the import. It just says I'm not going to change that value. But in this case, I have 0 errors and warnings, so everything's good. Now I'm going to hit import, and all those devices have been updated. So on level 1 here, which is this level here, if I go to any one of these devices, now I look at the properties, you'll notice that this was the lighting switch, single pole. The mark value is now 118, and the elevation from the level is 1200. So all these are now consistent at 1200 because that's what I specified. So again, for QA, QC, it's a great way for me to review that information. Now, with ID8 BIMLink, you can also review view template settings. So one of the things that we get asked about a lot is that, notice that I've got all the yellow highlighted. Those are all of the pieces of information that I can review or update within ID8 BIMLink. Anything that has sort of a separate dialog where you have to go and select edit, we're not able to access that through the API. But we can, basically impact and review all the settings. So you could say, oh, well, these view templates, I want to change, let's say, the scale or the detail level across a number of view templates. You can also look at the views themselves and see if the right view templates are assigned to them very easily with ID8 BIMLink. And then another great aspect of ID8 BIMLink, specifically for MEP and construction, is this ability to review both the shared coordinates, the model coordinates, or the internal coordinates of the items. So you can see here in this case, we can specify, the X, Y, and Z values. And you might say, well, how can we do that? Well, we have a generic family that is actually included with ID8 BIMLink. And I know it's kind of a long, folder name, but under C, Program Data, ID8 BIMLink, under the Samples Construction links, there is something called ID8 PT for point.rfa. You can then place that point either on pile caps or on hangers, like in this, the image you see, and then it will report the X, Y, and Z location from that. So, because, especially with like piles, structural pile systems, pile caps, and these hangers, it's hard to get the actual X, Y, and Z coordinates extracted from your Revit model, but this is a great way for you to be able to do that. Okay, so what I want to do is just stop here real quickly and just put Naveen on the spot. Now, are there any specific questions that I should address before I move on?
No, we don't have any. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, our next solution is called ID8 Explorer. And as I mentioned, ID8 Explorer is our model browser. It allows you to review every single element of the Revit model. And unlike the project browser, it shows us CAD links and CAD imports. It's showing us views. It has, all kinds of things that like I said, the project browser just doesn't show you. We also have the ability to review warnings in detail, and we have something called a dynamic filter that allows you to review elements based on any parameter within Revit. So let's take a look at that. Here is a piping model. It's actually the Snowden data set for the piping model. But what I want to do is once you call up ID8 Explorer, you notice that you can see an active view. And you can also see for the entire project. And I have 7,082 elements in this particular model. So it's always going to give you a number of the elements right after that particular category, family, type, and instance. Now, if I look at this particular dynamic filter, I am looking for irregular angles. So notice that I said, well, the angle is less than 90 or greater than 90.1. So it's basically kind of filtering out anything that might be even 92 degrees or 45 degrees. Like in this case, it's 45. Some of these look like they're 90, but they're not. They have small deviations. So that may not be acceptable. So here's a situation where I can basically set a filter, and this filter is actually delivered with ID8 Explorer. And then I can review that by using the isolate elements and review all of the pipe fittings that are that irregular, even though they look like some of them look like they're okay, they have a non-standard angle associated with them. And so these dynamic filters can be saved, can be set up. You can set up, usually in the MEP models, you're not too concerned about in-place families, but in architecture, For instance, there might be a setting for show me all of the casework that's in place, as an example. It's another good example of using these dynamic filters. Another huge item with ID8 Explorer is the ability to review warnings. And warnings are so critical because I've done actually several presentations specifically on warnings at various conferences, and about how they can really slow down the model. They can impact the performance. So you want to make sure that you're fixing and reviewing warnings as consistently as possible, basically. And so, there are what I like to say sort of three main areas or buckets of information. There's common Revit warnings, calculated, and geometric. The calculated and geometric are probably the ones that cause the most performance issues. Although, getting up above with like duplicate type mark, we did see one where there was like 30,000 duplicate type marks, and that actually did impact the performance of the Revit model. So ID8 Explorer gives you this ability to review Revit warnings very easily. So let's go back to ID8 Explorer. I'm going to call that up, and we're going to go directly to the Warnings tab, where you can see that I've got some geometric warnings like the volumes overlap, the spaces, right? So if I look at that, it's telling me that there are two spaces, the cafe and the mezzanine. I'm going to double click to access that information in a better view, because I had that 3D view up. And in some cases, this may be okay. You can always dismiss a warning, like maybe those actually do overlap. But looking at this model, I was like, yeah, that seems to be an issue. So what I'm going to do is remove one of those spaces. I can actually do that right from ID8 Explorer, so that you see that now that warning goes away because I don't have any volume overlap. Now, the next one I'm going to be looking at is that these have duplicate values. It's not really a duplicate type mark, but what happened in this particular model, instead of having the room name be like 101, 102, in some of these electrical closets and bathrooms, they say it unoccupied. So it was giving me a duplicate value. So I just wanted to show you that I'm changing that to 900A, and it went from 27 to 26. So as I'm selecting several of these restrooms as an example, I can go and look at the properties palette. And this is another great thing that I want to point out, is that you can work interactively in Revit while ID8 Explorer is open. So you could have it on a second screen, or you can have it on this screen, as you see, and be able to review warnings very easily. And it's always got information about the element. For instance, if it's in a work set, or who was last updating that particular item. I can also review the ranking of the warning. So in this case, I'm setting the rankings to high or medium, and then I'm refreshing the list, and it's going to put the high ranked warnings at the top of the list. We deliver several what we call ranking files, Revit warning files with ID8 Explorer, where we've done, there's like 1,000 Revit warnings. We've done about 60 where we've ranked them as high, medium, and low. But you can go through this with your company. You can rank those warnings, especially for MEP, decide what is the most important and critical as high ranked warning, medium, or low. And then you can share that across your team with having it be in a networked location. So again, with ID8 Explorer, it's great to be able to fix these warnings. All right, ID8 Sticky. ID8 Sticky, as I mentioned, allows you to live link Excel, Word, or PDF information into your Revit project and keep that up to date. This is one of our solutions that's really pretty self-explanatory. But what I'm going to do is come back over here to Revit that I was in earlier. I'm going to go over to this project. And I'm going to come over here and say View, and I'm going to do another sheet. And I'm going to do a sheet that has ID8 Sticky on the title block, right? So I'm going to come over and say ID8 Sticky. Let's go and create. So the source, okay, I'm going to go out to, I've got a sample directory, and actually this particular sample directory is delivered with ID8 Sticky. So you will have every one of these if you have ID8 Sticky. So let's go to samples, okay? And you'll notice that we've got different things like code lists, concrete strength tables, generic notes. I like to use this lighting spec because it has a number of different tabs within the worksheet. So here's the Philips lighting spec. We're going to say open. And that the number of tabs or worksheets, you can see that these are the different brands of Philips lighting: Chloride, Guardco, Letalite, Lightalier, and so forth. I'm going to select the Lightalier one, right? And then this is where you can give it a name. So you might say that, lighting schedule from Philips. So you can call it whatever you like. It's going to then be classified under the schedules. And you see I already have a starting view there, but now I've got this lighting schedule from Philips. I'm going to close this, and we're going to come over here and basically zoom up to that. So this is what I'm seeing, right? Okay, so now that we've got this schedule, all right, I'm going to go back over here to Sticky. And we always say that the update should be done on the source documentation, whether that's Word, whether it's Excel, or whether it's a PDF. So what I'm going to do is click here. I'm going to say open the file. This is the actual Excel file, right? And you see that there's Philips Lightalier. So what I'm going to do is sort of make some changes. So I'm going to say Philips Lightalier for Boston Hospital project or something. So I'm going to make some changes there. And actually, I probably want to take this and make it a little bit larger there. We're going to then specify this and say that maybe this is going to be, I don't know, a different color or something like that. And then also what I want to do is specify that I don't really care about this general purpose downlighting. So I'm going to highlight this right here, and I'm going to call it small. So it's a named region. So the print area is the full item, as you see here. But if I come back here to small, right, then it doesn't have that general purpose downlighting. So we're going to make sure that that's saved, and then I'm going to go ahead and close that model. And then since I'm in the dialog here, I'm just going to say update. All right, and notice that automatically changed the color. It says Philips Lightalier for Boston Hospital project. Now it still has this general purpose downlighting. Well, how do I change that? I'm going to come over here to Sticky, and I'm going to say the lighting schedule. I'm going to say update from, and then I'm going to pick the region, small. So if by default, it always picks the print region, but now I'm going to select the small, select OK, close, and now I don't have that Core Pro downlight. I only have the 3 lights that are within that schedule. And so the last thing I wanted to show with Sticky is that you have this ability to say auto update. So auto update, when you have that ticked, when you first open up the project, it's going to check to see if all of the stickies are up to date. Now, when it does that, it does check out a license, and that license remains held. So I always caution people that if you've only got like 1 license of ID8 Sticky, I don't recommend that you use this auto update. But if you've got a number of different licenses, like 25 and above, it's probably a good idea to use the auto update. So that's just something that is a nice little feature there for ID8 Sticky. And then go back to the presentation. So ID8 Style Manager, our next solution is allowing you to review. Again, we've collected all of these tools, and we've called them styles because probably the most important are object styles, line styles, but there's lots of other things, fonts, text, view templates that allow you to, that could have duplicates, but you want to find out, like, are they even used in the model? Where are they used? And are they named correctly? And so forth. And you can see here, you can analyze styles, you can merge and purge unwanted styles, and you can analyze parameters. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Come back over here, and let's bring up ID8 Style Manager. And like I said, a number of different collections here, but I thought with MEP that, MEP models typically have a lot of filters and view templates. So I kind of wanted to focus on that today. So I'm going to come over here to filters. When you see a question mark, it means that particular, in this case, this view filter has not been analyzed. Notice that the usage over here, I don't know where it's been used or if it's been used. So I'm going to select on this, and I know there aren't too many here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift, and I can select the Analyze button. I always caution that it's good to do this, kind of in small chunks. You don't want to go to every object style and analyze it all at once, because that could take a long time. But with these filters, it's not so bad. Then you can organize or sort the view filters based on this column here. So as an example, I have this domestic rule, right? And it shows me the view templates where that domestic filter is used, but also the views itself. And let's say that I look at this and I say, I don't know, that's a drafting view and it's a rooftop unit installation. I don't know if that seems correct. So I'm going to double click, which opens up the view. It also opens up the visibility graphics, and you can see the domestic is the filter here, and it's enabled. So you know what I want to do is I want to tick that and say, well, you know what, let's apply it. I don't want to have that filter enabled for that rooftop unit installation, okay? So I can, like I said, review where these view filters are used. Another one that's used quite a bit is view templates. And you see there's quite a few view templates that aren't even used, but let's sort them by the number of uses, right? And I've got mechanical elevation here is used in these two views, mechanical. I've got a mechanical section, and I see that it's used in an electrical. That doesn't seem right. So what I'm going to do is double click, which opens up the view, right? So here I am in my electrical section. So I'm going to click on the view again. And, just like so many of our other solutions, you can still continue to work and have ID8 Style Manager open in the background. So if I come over here now to my properties palette, instead of mechanical section, I want this to be the electrical section. Select OK. And so now that's applied, and I see my electrical devices and boxes and so forth. So now what I can do is just update this, and I can then, again, look at what's been used, and I see, oh, the electrical section is now used in this section, electrical view templates. So it's great. I can also review parameters, global parameters. So in this particular case, there are parameters, and you'll see sometimes double question marks. It's because we kind of allow a layered approach. So you can do like a quick analysis, but you can also do an in-depth analysis, which is doing schedules or title blocks. And one of the things I wanted to look at was there was this, see, it's a subdiscipline. If I can find that right here. So there it is, subdiscipline. Notice it hasn't been analyzed. It has a question mark. So I can just hit the analyze, and notice it says, hey, you didn't do an in-depth analysis. So I can click on in-depth analysis and do the analysis again, and it looks at the browser. So that particular parameter for subdiscipline was applied in the project browser, but it's also used in these view templates and these views. So I can review that information very easily. So again, just some of the ways that ID8 Style Manager can be used to review information within an MEP model. So I'll close that electrical section and that rooftop unit, why not? Go back to my 3D model here. Okay, and finally, ID8 Apps. ID8 Apps, as I mentioned, is a collection of 10 productivity tools for all Revit users. And so I could spend an hour on ID8 Apps focusing on, Renumber and Smart Delete and X-Ray, but I just wanted to show you a couple items. And one of those items is the Renumber. And with Renumber, we include a number of MEP rules. So you'll see here we have basic rules, and all of these are, come with ID8 Renumber, MEP fabrication, plumbing fixtures, renaming spaces, space numbers, viewports. And then we also have basic rules for doing conduit runs. MC is our abbreviation for multi-category. So we have multi-category ducts and fittings, equipment and cables, and equipment and conduit rules. And again, these can be imported from the directory, that's our samples directory, and that can be shared with other members on your within your firm or on the network. So let's take a look at this. This happens to be a lighting fixture. So what I'm going to do here is select on the space name, and I'm going to use my initials. Why not? RT. and I'm going to call the space, RT100. And so the rule that I set up is going to renumber the light fixtures based on the space name, as well as incrementing it by A, B, C, and show the circuit number. So notice that the rules that I have, it's only going to show me rules for things that make sense in this view. So it's not going to show me a wall renumbering or a parking renumbering because I don't have that category turned on in this view. So now I'm selecting the light fixtures and just basically selecting them the sequence that I want to renumber them based on the space name with the circuit number. But a better way is to see that line going through there. I'm going to select on the line, which is just a 2D line, and I'm going to bypass the one light fixture that doesn't have a circuit, and then I'm going to reverse the order just to show you can do all that and then select OK. And then you can see that all of the light fixtures have been renamed based on that particular rule. Well, what if you wanted to have electrical data as opposed to the circuit number? Well, basically, the rules in ID8 Renumber allow you to modify and be able to extract almost any Revit parameter. So I'm going to remove the circuit number. I'm going to add electrical data instead. So this is being pulled directly from the Revit model. So let's say, you see electrical data, and I'm going to give it an abbreviation and select OK, and then save and close. So now I'm updating the rule. And then all I have to do is pick on that select path by crossing and choose the line, and it's going to update the information. And that line, by the way, I can have it pre-drawn, or I can create new path. That's what that little tick mark does, allows me to draw the path as I go. So in this case, now that's updated, like I said, every single lighting fixture with the space name, incrementing it by A, B, C, and now it has the electrical data. So these rules are completely customizable. We ship with dozens of different rules, but you can modify them to extract the information from the Revit model that you need, and then just be able to pick on that 2D line to be able to renumber those things very easily. There are certain aspects of the rules that don't require, let's say, location. And I'll use an example. Sorry to use an architectural example, but let's say I wanted to renumber doors. The doors only care, let's say the rule is about take the room number and then add A, B, C to have it be the door number. So in that case, it doesn't matter what the sequence I pick. So that's where I can use auto number by view. So it really depends on the type of rule and what particular method I can use. I can always select elements, but the select path crossing or vertex or auto number by view will vary depending on the rule that I built. Okay, another tool within ID8 apps is called ID8 Annotate. And ID8 Annotate supports design documentation and quality control through enhanced browse, review, and intelligent tagging. And in fact, we just added tagging in the last release here in November. And so it allows you to look and review all of your annotated elements and be able to make sure that they're clear and concise. They're not, on top of one another, not clashing, and so forth. And so you can reduce the liability by ensuring the legibility of your 2D construction documentation. Okay, so let's take a look at that. We're going to switch over here, and I'm going to go back to my project browser here, and let's come over here to my got one here. Let's see, where are we at here? That's not what I want. Let's do spell check. Where are we at here? Sticky. Oh, I'm in schedules. No wonder. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for floor plans. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's go and select on my review. Boy, it's been a long day already. So I'm going to open up this particular model, and I'm going to look at the review under ID8 Annotate. Okay, so notice that in this case, I've got the information, and I can say, oh, well, I've got the ID8 or annotation clashes. I've got duplicate tags. I've got elevation markers. So let's take a look at this. So let's go over here and say I've got some clashes here. I've got this grid and space tag. So I'm going to double click on the 7 and the space tag. You can see it's actually up here. I'm going to zoom up on that, and I'm like, okay, well, that is conflicting. You know, it's not very legible. So what I want to do is move that tag down a little bit over here. I'll maybe move it just a little bit more. And then I can refresh so that is no longer clashing. Now there's some other clashes here, which are these elevation marks. And you know what, as I look over here, this elevation mark, actually there's another problem because you'll see here elevation marks with no elevations, which is actually that one right there. And so I can just remove that, and that's going to fix that particular clash as well. So let's go ahead and delete that. And then refresh. So now it's looking at that and it says, okay, well, you've got some duplicate tags, you've got some elevation with no or elevation marks with no elevations and so forth, but I can continue going through this. Now I'm going to look at other not visible. I've got this space tag and it's like, okay, well, it's on L2, you know, it's a 2-story unit. Why is it not visible? I can use our ID8 X-ray. So to show me why it's not visible, it automatically puts it what I'm searching for. And so I say, all right, well, let's go ahead and find that particular element. And it says it's in the annotation crop. That's why it's not displaying. So by fix, I can just turn on the annotation crop, or I can always go to more info, which is going to go out to our website and basically say, well, this is how you would use the annotation crop for ID8 X-ray. It explains sort of what it is and how you would modify it. So our help on ID8 X-ray and ID8 Annotate is very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and select done. And then I'm going to come back over here. And I mentioned that you can do aligning text, which is nice too with ID8 Annotate. So in this case, I'm going to go to the browse. I'm going to select on the filter for align and distribute. And we're going to grab these items. And actually, it doesn't really matter that I got that 2D drafting because I'm really just aligning the text. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say align. And I'm going to align to this, let's say, power cable loop. So now all that's nicely aligned, and now I can distribute this. So there I've got the text nicely aligned and distributed, and I can continue doing that for the other items within this as well. Then I might want to go and look at some tagging here. I'm going to go to my view for tagging. And let's come back over here. And you saw that I was able to look at with ID8 Explorer those sort of dynamic filters and rules that I could choose. If it's over, or in the case of ID8 Explorer, I had it be under 90 degrees or above 90.1 as far as the angle of the pipes. But so I can specify and I can tag really anything based on that. So in this case, I'm going to look at the rules. So I'm going to manage my rules here. I'm going to go to ducts short. And basically, here's where I've created that. I said the length is less than 4 feet. The phase is the sequence number, which is 2. And the slope is less than 15. And then I've decided, you can see like what type of tag I want, which is this duct sizing tag, and where it's located. And then I want it to have a leader line with, in this case, I'm going to actually change this to a 1/4 inch. I think that looks a little bit better. And the orientation is the model orientation. So I'm going to save and close, say OK. And now I'm going to do ducts short. I'm going to remove any existing tags. And you see it highlights in blue all of the ducts that are going to be tagged. And I can add those tags so that you can specify and say, I have a different tag for ducts that are over a certain length or under a certain length. So in this case, here's the diameter, which is 8 inches for these particular short ducts. Okay, switch back here. And so, we're just about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. The summary here is, again, very high level, being able to do QA, QC processes using ID8 BIMLink, managing almost every element within your Revit model with ID8 Explorer, and specifically warnings with ID8 Explorer, integrating Excel, Word, and PDF data with ID8 Sticky, and then understanding how you might have usage of Revit filters, view filters, or even view templates, parameters using ID8 Style Manager, and then streamlining, renumbering, tagging, even visibility with our ID8 X-ray with our ID8 apps. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I really appreciate it. And like I said, there are so many workflows that are available for MEP with our ID8 software solution. So I hope you do explore them and you find different ways to use our solutions. So again, with that, you can always contact me with any additional questions at richard.taylor@id8software.com. Really appreciate your time and attention and your interest in ID8 software. And thank you to my colleague, Naveen, who is awesome at answering questions. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep, everyone have a good day.